You play to win the game. Hello? You play to win the game. You don't play to just play it. That's the great thing about sports. You play to win. And I don't care if you don't have any wins. You go play to win. When you start telling me it doesn't matter, then retire. Get out. Because it matters.
Well, good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here with my buddy Cowboy Joe Boo and Funky Chicken. And as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Joe Boo Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. Don't forget about my buddies at BetUS, because with the YouTube code YouTube150, you can get 150% matching on your first, your second, and third deposits of up to $2,000. And believe it or not, my dad is saying put his money on the Eagles tomorrow. Oh my God, it's become that bad. But he is also taking the Dallas Cowboys. And make sure you bet with BetUS. You know what? I have been here doing YouTube since 2016. That's a long time, guys. We are about to start our 9th year. It's crazy to even think about it, but it has become so much a part of my life. And I like to try and think outside the box, okay? It's easy. I mean, it's not easy, but, a lot of people do film breakdown, player, and this, that, and the other. I try and dig deeper into the surface and give you something a little bit different here. And this morning, I'm going to be actually doing something a little bit different than I usually do with my morning video. We've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers tomorrow evening, and that's going to be a real test for the Cowboys. We've got some good feelings where we played the Giants, the Carolina Panthers, although the Carolina Panthers almost beat the Eagles and almost beat the Kansas City Chiefs. We got a good game against those guys. And we played pretty good against Cincinnati, with the exception of the touching the punt. We find ways to lose. Now, Tampa Bay, a team that has something to play for, a team that is on a 4-game win streak, a team that's got a much better offense, we can really see where we are, although we are missing a lot of pieces. This will be a better measuring stick, and I still believe that the jury's out on the Cowboys with Mike McCarthy, although I will say I believe they've already made the decision on Mike McCarthy. They just didn't want to announce it like if you announced it like after last week, after you beat Carolina, and then you get beat by Tampa Bay, and then you get beat by the Eagles, and you get beat by Washington, it looks like, boy, that was a stupid move. So that's why I think they're waiting to do that. But what I really want to talk about and focus on today is I want to turn the clock back a little bit on Micah Parsons, because, see, Micah Parsons, I don't think you guys realize how much he's evolved in the course of the last 9 months. And it's been dramatically changing, especially the last few weeks. And I always say that until you go through bad times, you don't know what good times are. And it makes you appreciate the good times. See, a lot of y'all punks out there, you get everything handed to you. And so it doesn't mean anything to you because you expect it. But when you have to go out and work and earn something, it makes it that much more valuable to you, at least in my mind. At least that's what I've learned in my time here on Earth. I know that having been here on YouTube for 9 years and getting to 134,000 subscribers, I can appreciate that, and I'm doing everything I can to take care of those people and hold on to it, because it wasn't easy. I don't want to lose that, and that's why I recognize I have to work hard to continue that. So let's go back. Let's go back in time here to about 8 months ago in the off season, after the debacle that was the Green Bay Packers, and Micah Parsons basically didn't talk for like 17 days. And we heard from Sean and RJ that Micah Parsons' stick was getting a little bit old.
Well, do we dive into it later? I don't know if we put.
I don't
it
know
later
if we
or not,
do, but it
because
is weird.
My short-term
Yeah.
memory isn't what it used to be.
Yeah.
But there was an item, and I reached out to my friend Sean Sharif from 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, Fort Worth, because he said on the air recently, and I want to get to the bottom of what he knows and what he doesn't know, but he threw out this idea that the Cowboys are
Exasperated.
getting
right.
Exasperated is the best word, I think. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done, Grasshopper. Exasperated with Micah Parsons' just way. And I've made this point before. Like, Micah Parsons can be kind of a low-key pain in the ass. Fighting with the media, chirping about everything. We like him.
Yeah.
But he's kind of like launching his media career while he's 3 years into his NFL career, and it creates issues.
Right.
And he stiff arms the media on a regular basis. He went 17 days before he had anything to say after they got embarrassed at home by the Green Bay Packers. And hey, as far as antisocial behavior goes, he could do a hell of a lot worse. I mean, he wasn't street racing in Dallas. He wasn't driving around, with way too much alcohol in his system. I mean, these are small things compared to some of the other examples we've dealt with recently in the NFL. But it's interesting because 105.3 The Fan is the Cowboys' flagship station, the one on which Jerry Jones appears twice a week in season.
Right, and you would think they know people.
And so where are they?
Yeah, right.
So either you got it from the Cowboys, or you got it independently, and you're smart enough to run it by the Cowboys before you say it out loud. And nobody from the Cowboys said you probably shouldn't say that. So if the Cowboys had a problem with it, and I think they're smart enough to tread lightly, you wouldn't have said it. So either they got an advance nod, or it was fed, or they're comfortable with the Cowboys. They've heard enough that they know the Cowboys aren't going to care to say this thing that clearly is going to piss Micah Parsons off.
Let's leave that there. So, yeah. So literally in the offseason of our discontent, where nothing was done right. Let's be clear here. Nothing was done right. Jerry Jones had the attitude of, I want to keep people on edge, because if they're fighting for their jobs, they're going to fight, and we're going to go to a Super Bowl. And we got the polar opposite. We got the whole thing that we might be trading CeeDee Lamb, that Dak Prescott was going to play on the last year of his contract and stuff. And, Mike McCarthy wasn't getting an extension, that everybody was on a one-year deal. And you get now the Cowboys, they're getting kind of tired of Micah Parsons. And then you get into this season, Micah Parsons being the guy that he is. First 4 games, has 1 sack, and gets injured. And then the drama continued to get worse. So we had this happen with the coach. And we had the media.
We're completely dominated by the Eagles, 34-6 at home, falling to 3-6 record. Micah Parsons had a lot to say about head coach Mike McCarthy and didn't hold back following that brutal loss on Sunday. Take a listen.
That's above my pay grade about if Mike is coaching again next year. But all coaching aside, Mike can leave and go wherever he wants. But the guys, I kind of feel bad for is guys like Zach Martin and guys who might be on their last year or on their way out, because that's what I wanted to hold the trophy for. You want to win games and do great things with those type of legends who put in more time and work than Mike McCarthy ever did. So those are the kind of guys that I have so much sympathy and hurt for.
Okay, so here's the deal. After receiving heavy criticism for those comments, Micah took to his podcast to try to walk it back a little yesterday. Take a listen.
I never once threw or even intended to throw Mike McCarthy under the bus. Like I said, he's one of the most winningest coach. He is a Super Bowl champ. I never once brung up his past. And the question that was asked was about here in the Dallas Cowboys, did I see Mike McCarthy in our future? And I said, that's above my pay grade.
Shay. This is a lot right now. Could you please break it down for folks?
See, what Micah needs to understand, you're free for your actions. You're free to say whatever you want to say. but you're not free of consequences. See, you get to control what you say, you get to control your actions, but the consequences, they don't involve you. Intent only matters to you because the difference between murder and manslaughter is intent, but the victim is just as dead. Micah, what you said still offended Mike McCarthy. What you trying to do, because here's the thing, everybody is in this together. Saturday, the coaches, everybody, we want to win. Everybody wants to win this. And for him to keep saying, see, what got him in trouble, guys, was that last part, Fox, when he said that Zach Martin has done more than Mike McCarthy ever has. Well, what are we supposed to do with that? And then he hides behind, the media trying to get clicks. The media trying to get likes. Bro, you said that. And if you're going to be in this business, Mike, and I think you have a great chance once you're done, you're going to be in this. You're going to say some things.
He's already in business.
But you're going to have to stand on it. You mad enough to say it, be man enough to own it. Be man enough to stand on it. And don't go running and hide behind the media, because there are a lot of people out there that distrust the media. But this was...
So we literally had people going off, okay? Off. Ryan was literally like, get this bum out of here, screw him, and everybody has been trade him. He's a diva, maybe he's already, peaked because he only had one sack, in the season. He's injured. He's not even on the field. The team's getting mollywopped, and he's a pain in the ass. And most Cowboy fans would say, man, I'm sick of this shit, man. I'm sick of his podcast, because we ended up having Diggs on where they went through their top 10 quarterbacks. They didn't even put their own quarterback on there. And again, more negative publicity. So we had the narrative that built there that everything hit ahead with the Eagles game. And I dare say that was the beginning of the change. We've got, of course, everybody loves having Micah Parsons. Don't let it get twisted here. Don't let it get twisted. The media loves it because it gives them something to talk about. That with the Cowboys, no matter what happens, there's going to be news. Now, here's where it gets crazy for me. This hit me last night during my live stream. And this was Micah Parsons, because we go back to the 8 months ago where they were talking about Micah Parsons' stick is getting a little old. Micah Parsons would only show up for mandatory minicamp. He wouldn't show up for OTAs and work with the fans. And at the time, this was his response to this. Now listen,
the business
carefully.
side to it, and whether I like it or not, there's rookies or people I came with that's not even here anymore. And I think that's what camp is for. I mean, there was a time where Aaron Donald didn't even go to camp and he won Defensive Player of the Year and he realized his team in the playoffs. Like, are we forgetting these times? Like, he wasn't, you talking about the best defensive player, wasn't even in camp. And we're in mini camp, or voluntary at that. So, camp would say something that's mandatory. So I'm just looking at a time for my body to heal. I'm an undersized rusher who gets banged up every year. So I'm just letting my body heal. I'm just trying to grow, strengthen, and really just get ready for the year. This is your engine. Like, this is where all my equity lies. I have no equity outside of this to offer them. So at the end, you got to understand, availability is the best ability. And if I'm not available when it really matters because I'm banged up or my body's not healing properly or I didn't get all the rehab and treatment that I need to be successful, then, that's on me. It's not on them. They're just finding next me.
It's a great explanation, but at the core of it is he doesn't have a contract. I mean, Aaron Donald didn't just choose to stay away from training camp for consecutive years because he wanted extra rest. He was trying to get paid. The first time he stayed away, it didn't really work. The second time, he got his massive contract. That's what you need to do to play this game. At some point, you got to threaten to retire like Donald did to get his final contract. So that's what this is ultimately about. You can justify it however you want. Okay. I mean, if he wants to let his body...
All right, so you can understand how the Cowboys can say, you know what, we're sick of this stick. You're not here for OTAs. We got a new defensive coordinator. You've got your podcast. And everything seemed to be about me, about being selfish. It was only about Micah Parsons and what's best for Micah Parsons. I'm staying away so I can get my body in shape and get myself together. And, like Aaron Donald didn't show up, and he became Defensive Player in the Year. So, in the arrogance that was there, I can understand the Cowboys saying, you know what, everybody else is here. 99% of the people are here. We've been proud to say that we have 100% participation in OTAs because everybody lives here in Dallas, and you're the one who's not here. And the teammates look and say, well, how come I got to be here sweating my ass off and he doesn't? Well, because he's Micah. But this is where I think all of this has come to a head, because you heard in that where they said, well, he's staying away to get a new contract. Micah Parsons, at least at the moment, sounds like he's trying to avoid this and break the cycle of this whole thing that the Cowboys have to do when it comes to signing contracts. Is we talk about how we can't spend too much money. We talk about how we don't have any money. We talk about how the player is deemed greedy and taking too much. And it's the reason why we can't do anything in free agency. And then we end up proceeding to pay max contracts after they've held out all offseason, missed OTAs and mini camps and, training camp, to get them in late, where we have to worry about soft tissue injuries and then getting banged up and injured and having a couple of games that they need to get into football shape and play well. We do this all the time, every time. And it's a waste of time and effort because you end up paying them in the end. Now, keep in mind what you just heard from 8 months ago with Micah Parsons literally saying, bro, it's voluntary. I ain't got to be here. I'm like Aaron Donald, okay? Keep that in mind. And now, think about this now. This is where we went to. This is a month ago. Should the Cowboys consider trading Micah Parsons?
The strategy to utilize these players. That's the issue with Dallas. I understand exactly what you're getting at. And if you look at this football team last night, there's no way you could say in your right mind that this team doesn't need a total overhaul in terms of the upgrading the level of its talent, in particular on the defensive side. So I'm with you. I'm with you there. And I wouldn't have been at one time.
No,
because look, you don't trade away quarterbacks, pass rushers, franchise left tackles, corners, or number one wide receivers. Those 5 positions. You don't trade away those people very easily or without taking into great consideration what it means. But in this case, this team looks barren. It looks like it has no soul anymore, and it needs to be rebuilt from the inside out.
Yeah, I think that it's a strategy. It's not one I would go for when you have a guy who has Hall of Fame talent. I get it. You need pieces like this to build your defense around. If you were to trade Micah Parsons and let's say you got 2 first-round picks, which I think is reasonable, you're hoping that one of those first-round picks is half of Micah Parsons.
Right.
And likely that's not what happens.
Thank you.
So I think that with some offseason acquisitions, you have a quarterback, you have a number 1 receiver, and you have Micah Parsons with improvements at coaching and some improvements in some other areas on the roster. You don't have to hit home runs. You can build this team back up pretty quickly, in large part because Micah Parsons is so good that the impact that he has on an offense allows the rest of your defense to have pressure taken off of him.
Yeah, I 100% agree with Neek right. If you think about the Cowboys, the positions they're in need of are right in the middle. Yeah. Go get a monster defensive tackle, which is not going to cost you for run stopping. Go get a run stopper. Go get some linebackers, internal linebackers that can go stop the run, right? You have a young offensive line. Go get a running back that you can depend on. There was 3 available this year. It does not require you to give away the most effective pass rusher in maybe not in your history because of Charles Haley, but close in in the history of your organization. You let that dude walk and he walks to the NFC, it's going to be Saquon Barkley times 10. He will eat you up, bro. You think you're going to make it the playoffs? That dude will close out games. He is that good. He's that. Look at the last 2 games he comes back. He is a nightmare to block for people. And again, is he a rundown? I'm not trying to get into all of his game, but he is too impactful. And the positions that they're needing don't require 2 first-round picks. Go get some dudes in the middle.
It's not like they're short on picks, right? I mean, like, they have their picks. It's not like they're the 49ers and they've traded away 1 million picks, right? So all you have to do, you build around guys like this. If you look at the Buffalo Bills and what they have built and their inability to get over the top in the playoffs, and they would tell you the main reason is they haven't had that finisher at that edge rush position that can get Patrick Mahomes on the ground in the fourth quarter. Yep. And they try to sign Von Miller to a ridiculous contract, and that hasn't worked. But you build around guys like this, and if you hit your 2nd round, 3rd round, 4th round draft picks like the Cowboys were doing for a decade, then it shouldn't be hard to rebuild around.
But, see, the difference, though, with a team like Buffalo, look, the foundational pieces are already in place.
Agree. It's an imperfect comparison.
So we've got the debate on whether or not the Cowboys should trade Micah Parsons. And reasons being is you have a lack of talent and your defense stinks. This is a month ago. You're lack of talent. You need to get more talent out there because you're just lacking in so many areas. Your defense was giving up 37 points a game. You looked at it for Micah Parsons he's difficult. He's a diva. You know, he's not going to show up for, OTAs and training camp and, OTAs and things. And you might be looking at a holdout because he's going to want to get a max contract. And then you looked at it and say, is he a cancer to the team because he has thrown the coach under the bus? He is basically bitch slapped the quarterback. And it's kind of like he's doing his own thing and being selfish. And it's easy to extrapolate from what you see there and what you hear. But here's what I will say is, going through this season, getting all this criticism, if you've been watching the Micah Parsons show, you'll see how it has evolved or devolved from trying to be the comedy show with Big Play Slay and yucking it up with people to where he was literally putting his hat on a sleeve because he cares about his teammates and Zach Martin and this season going awry and it just being hell, to coming back and then being a terror. You can see the difference of this defense with Micah Parsons, without. With Micah Parsons, all of a sudden, they're 4th in the NFL in sacks. They're taking the football away. They're beginning to stop the run better. Now, again, we'll find out against Tampa Bay tomorrow night if this is all true. But you can look at a defense that has been destroyed by injuries. Every week, another star player goes. Agent Zero, Diggs. We finally had all of our secondary together, week 13 for 1 week? D-Law, Sam Williams. Not to mention letting go Dorrance Armstrong, Dante Fowler, Hankins, Stephon Gilmore, and so on. But yet, all of a sudden, they're trending up. And you have to look at this trend and say that trend is because Micah Parsons is back. And say what you will about him. People will say, oh, you can't compare him to, the greats out there like Lawrence Taylor. I want you to understand something here. If Micah Parsons gets one more sack tomorrow, he will be halfway to where Charles Haley was in his career of 100.5 sacks. He will have 50 sacks to start his career, something only 5 guys have done their first 4 years. If he gets a sack and a half, he will have double-digit sacks to start his career, his first 4 years. And let me remind you, Charles Haley, 12 sacks his first year, 6 sacks, 6.5 his second year, 11.5 sacks his third year. 10.5 sacks his fourth year. Guys like that, if I'm telling you that a guy to start his career is one of 5 people to do this, says there's not many people out there that can do that. And if you trade him away, you're expecting to get another guy as good as him and then another guy with the other pick that's going to be decent? Is that your hope? The old saying is a bird in the hand beats 2 in the bush. You're not getting another guy like Micah with one of those picks. Sorry, you're just not. Because your defense is going to drop back to where we were in nothingness. Now, here's the final piece to this equation of the evolution of Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons, 2 weeks ago, went on to say, we need to bring everybody back. I need guys like Osa and Digazua. He helps to make me better. He helps make this team better. I need a Rico to come back. I need the coaching staff. I need Zim here because he's bringing out the best in me. And make no mistake about it. He's been back for 6 games. He's got 7.5 sacks. Pressures. The leader in pressures is 41. He's got 35 and missed 4 games. He's in the top 10 of every category that you want for edge rusher. And missed 4 games. He's a disruptor. He's a generational talent. And so if your reasons for saying, let's trade him because, we can get multiple picks, well, that's no guarantee that that's going to work out. You got a great one right here that doesn't appear to be slowing down. If your reason is he's a diva and we're tired of his stick, well, that seems to be changing too. After going through all the negativity, he seems to have become a team player and completely did a 180 from where he was last year in training camp. Let's listen to him now.
Here so that way I can get these guys accordingly. We can rush together, build that chemistry. So I think it's extreme importance that I'm back at OTAs and minicamp and all those type of things.
Graziano, I thought of all the reactions in our meeting this morning, I liked yours the best.
There are a lot of people who think Micah Parsons talks too much. Not us, but there are a lot of people who think his agent is now one of those people. like, stop it, man. Like, you're killing me on the leverage here. We're trying to get a monster contract. Don't be, I'm not going to hold out. I'll be happy with whatever.
Yeah, that's page 1 of the GM's handbook. Say that again, Micah.
Yeah. but to defend Micah, he's saying put the cheese on the taco early, man. I need to be here to get the team all lined up and everybody right.
Is the best way to get more money to do it sooner or wait until later if you're playing for the Cowboys?
That is true. I get it.
but you leave some risk on the table, right? Injury, all that kind of stuff. And look, Mike, when all is said and done, Mike Tannenbaum, you're a GM in 2 different places. You understand how these things tend to work as well as anybody does. Is there going to come a morning when I'm going to say, good morning, welcome to Get Up? And as of yesterday, Micah Parsons is the highest paid defensive player in NFL history. Is that going to be a day?
Absolutely. And that day, to these guys' point, should happen ASAP. It's only going to get more expensive. The cap's going to go up. He is a young, bright star, elite pass rusher. Those guys never leave the building. I know he may not be the most complete player, but he could disrupt the game as much as anybody, and he's got to be a Cowboy for the next 5-10 years.
Listen, he's one of the most dominant players I've seen in recent years. His ability to dominate and just move to a pass rusher after being an inside linebacker. How many people have ever had that on their resume that they can line up at middle linebacker, be dominant and be a Pro Bowler there, and then go and put his hand in the dirt full time and still give these tackles who have went against some of the best pass rushers in the game their whole life?
See, this is the stuff Micah's agent wants the team to hear.
Right. We'll take care of that stuff for him. And to be very clear, the conversation, there was a moment in time there where I was calling him Micah Walker or Herschel Parsons because the Cowboys are in trouble. from a roster perspective. And one way to rebuild it would to be consider the unthinkable, and that is trade away a young player who might be the best defensive player in the whole NFL for a king's ransom of picks, the way they did what Jimmy Johnson did once upon a time with Herschel Walker.
Yeah, I mean,
that's off the table.
At this point, what the Cowboys have said, their high-end leadership has said that's never been a consideration. Now, if they drag their feet signing him and they start to get offers, who knows? But right now, that is not the way they're thinking. They believe he'll be there long term.
Okay. Let's leave that there for the moment. We just thought it was worth your hearing as we dive into
So, to summarize this, everything that was the negative on Micah Parsons since the Eagles game has changed. He's dominant. Just like they said. There's certain positions that you don't want to get rid of. Quarterback. Great number one wide receivers, although we got rid of Amari Cooper. Edge rusher. Those are places that are the hardest places to replace. You can replace a running back. You saw Derrick Henry and Saquon being signed by Washington and Baltimore. Finding dominant edge rushers, that ain't easy. Drafting them. Look at how many guys we've gone through. Guys like David Irving, guys like Randy Gregory. We've drafted Sam Williams. You know, we've gotten nowhere close. The last time we drafted somebody who's been this good, D-Law, who's been a great run stopper, and DeMarcus Ware. They don't come along very often. And to say, let's trade him is stupid, especially if he actually means, I want to work with you to get this contract done. So it works for both of us. I get paid and made whole, and we can use the extra money to make the team whole. I don't know what else you look for at this point. The numbers speak to themselves. You're putting pressures. You're making the people around you better. You're getting sacks. You've turned the defense around. There you go. And this has all happened in front of our eyes. Cowboys, they were sick of his stick. Now what you look at is, I need to have more guys like Micah Parsons. As always, good people, I appreciate y'all. We do have some great games that are on tap today. We have Kansas City versus the Texans, and we have Pittsburgh versus Baltimore. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to live stream those today. We have some friends that we haven't seen in a couple of years that are actually coming down to spend the night here at the Red Brick House. So it would be kind of rude maybe to live stream all day today and then stream tomorrow as well, even though they're Commanders fans. Yeah, Commander fans. So I've got to make some lasagna and some clam chowder and some other stuff. So we're going to go get busy. As always, I appreciate y'all. Peace out.